What is up guys, Andy Forrest Runner here and welcome back to another video, and today we're talking all about Atreyu's running shoe, the Artist, after 100 miles. Welcome back to another video, and as I said, today we're talking all about Atreyu's shoe, the Artist, after 100 miles. I'm out here on my long run getting it done, and today we'll take the shoe up and over 100 miles. I'm excited to share with you my thoughts on this one because of course it is, if you want to call it, a budget carbon plated racer. I like to think of it more as amazing value for money because I've really enjoyed my time in this shoe, but I do want to dive in terms of the usual wear and tear, how I've been using it and will I continue to use it moving forwards, and kind of briefly touch on how it stacks up against some of its competitors. So if you're excited for today's video, make sure you give it a like, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the wear and tear. So there we go, that run took us up and over the 110 mile mark. We now have 113 miles in Atreyu's shoe, the Artist. Really excited to have got the shoe to this point, and we'll dive into the wear and tear right now. What I have to say, and what I say every single time at 100 miles, is you don't want to see anything major happening around the 100 mile point. However, I wasn't 100% sure if I'd be thinking that with this shoe, and the reason I was thinking that was A, because of obviously the price point is such a fantastic, I don't want to call it budget, I want to call it great value, because I think that's what it is. It's a brilliant value shoe. You can tell, hopefully, that I've had a really great time with this thing. But what I do have to say is their base model isn't designed to soak up hundreds and hundreds of miles. They do say that you're going to get sort of around 100, 150, 200 miles, 250 maximum really at a push out of that shoe before you need to get another pair and send the old pair back to be recycled with them and have a subscription with them. That's the way that their base model works. So I wasn't sure if I'd be getting the same experience with this or if I'd be getting a different experience, if I was going to find that after 100 miles this thing would start to feel compressed, or if it was going to be a lot better. And I'm really pleased to say it doesn't feel any different to what it did after 100 miles. I don't think this falls into that same category where it's going to last you just 100, 200 miles. I think it's going to maybe go to sort of 300 mark. If I'm honest with you, I'd love to know, you guys, how many miles you've managed to put in yours so far. Anyway, in terms of the wear and tear, it's holding up well. The upper, as you guys know, is very lightweight, very loose, no stability whatsoever, but there is absolutely no snagging, no fraying, no anything on the top. It's holding up really, really well. And again, with the midsole, we're getting a few crinkles in there, but we're getting nothing major, nothing severe, nothing that I would expect to see that would worry me, put it that way. So it's all looking really, really good. So the one thing I will say about this shoe is because of the lack of sort of structure and stability around here, you do have to be careful with the type of terrain you run on. I have rolled my ankle a couple of times in this shoe, and that's just me being careless, running on sort of more gravelly paths where this shoe really isn't geared up for. And that has led to a few dinks and dents. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but there's like little almost bullet holes in the bottom here where I've gone over some hard gravel, hard stones, and it's just kind of put a little puncture in the bottom of the foam. But other than that, it's still holding up really well, and it's not really caused any issues in terms of performance whatsoever. It's just doing fantastic. So how have I been using this shoe over the 130 miles that we've put in it so far? Well, for me, it's mainly been a long run shoe, and it's also been a long run workout shoe. Those are the two areas that I found myself gravitating towards this shoe on. In fact, it's been my first choice, to be honest with you. I have had to sprinkle in some other shoes here and there when I'm doing some testing, but on the whole, if I don't have any specific shoes to test, this has been the one that I've been going to for the longer Canova workouts, for the long runs. It's just been a fantastic longer trainer to wear. I just feel the comfort levels in this thing are through the roof. I don't feel fatigued after using it. and it really does help me when I'm trying to go for longer paces at longer periods of time. All of that sort of stuff. Canova workouts is this thing's bread and butter. I said when I did the initial review of this thing, is this sort of like a great value or budget racer, or is it a long daily trainer? And I still think it's a great racing shoe, but for me, because I've got other racing shoes that I'll probably reach to in my rotation, I've ended up using it more for a long run workout style shoe. I haven't put any easy miles in this thing. I haven't put anything slower than moderate. It really has been reserved for the longer, slower, sort of marathon pace to half marathon pace miles, and then the longer endurance stuff. I have tried it on a shorter, speedier workout. It was okay, but that's not this thing's forte, I don't think. I think this thing is all about, just like any other super shoe, lacing up, going long, and just getting the comfort, maximizing the comfort from this thing. So will I be using this shoe moving forward, and how do I feel it kind of stacks up against some of the other super shoes? Well, as I've just said, I don't want to use the word budget. I do feel it is a really great value shoe. I think to get this thing from the US here to the UK, including shipping and taxes and all that, it was literally £100. And I don't think you can look anywhere else in the market and find a carbon plated shoe like this that's going to give you that value. And if you're new to the carbon plated world or want to try a carbon plated shoe, then this is a great place to start. What I will say is how it's, in terms of how I feel it stacks up with the other shoes, I feel like I'd still reach probably for the Vaporfly, I'd still probably reach for the Endorphin Pro over this thing. I just think they're a bit lighter, they're a bit snappier, they do feel like they're a little bit more geared up for racing, whereas I do kind of feel like this, although it will be great for racing, great for marathons, half marathons, it certainly wouldn't be for me a good 5 or 10k shoe. I don't think that's what it's designed for. And because of its kind of, I tell you what it reminds me a little bit more of, it's more like a Hoka in terms of a smooth gliding sensation rather than a more aggressive pop or that sort of snappy feeling that I get from Endorphin Pro, or the bounce and propulsion that I get from the Next Percent. This feels much more of a gliding style shoe, just like I get feeling from the Hokas. So that's kind of why I would probably not choose to race in it, not for any other reason than I've just probably got better shoes in the arsenal, but for me it is an absolute bang for your buck type of shoe. And will I be using it moving forwards? Yes, I will. I've got no reason to stop using it at the moment. I will put it down for the next few weeks just because I've got some other shoes that I need to get some mileage up into. But other than that, this thing will be back in the rotation very, very soon, getting more miles. And I really do want to push this thing and see how far it can go. So we'll be having a short break at the moment, just as I said, for me to get some other stuff, other mileage in other shoes. But once that's all done, this thing will be coming back out, and I'm excited to see how this thing does. So those are my thoughts on ATREYU's running shoe, the Artist. As I said earlier, I'd love to hear how many miles you've got in this shoe and how well it's holding up. After 113, I have to say I'm really, really impressed. A, by the price point, B, how it feels, the gliding sensation. Just be warned, it is, as I said, you can quite easily turn your ankle on it, especially if you're running on uneven ground. If you're running on flat tarmac concrete, you'll be absolutely fine. It's an absolute belter of a shoe and brilliant value for money. Let me know in the comments below how many miles you've got in it. I'd love to hear from you, and let's get that discussion going. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.